My name is Helen. I'm 64 years old, and I never thought I'd be writing this. I never thought it would be my daughter who would become my greatest loss and my greatest lesson. I raised Erin alone. Her father left when she was 3, gone with a silence so thick we stopped trying to explain it. We made it work. I worked 2 jobs, cleaning houses during the day, nursing home shifts at night. There were weeks I slept 4 hours a night, but Erin never noticed. And that's how I wanted it. She had the best lunchbox, the brightest school shoes. She went to dance camp when I couldn't afford gas. Everything I had, I gave to her. She was smart, beautiful, a little dramatic, but then most daughters are. We had our moments, like all mothers and daughters, but I always thought there was love beneath it, and trust, especially trust. When I turned 60, I retired. Not because I was ready, but because my body wasn't. Arthritis in my hands, chronic pain in my hips. I moved into a small rental apartment outside Phoenix. Nothing fancy, just warm, quiet, simple. And I had saved up, slowly, steadily, for over 30 years. My life savings. It wasn't much in this world, but to me, it was everything. Erin, we cooked dinner. We looked at old photos. She even fell asleep on the couch like she did as a kid, head in my lap, like nothing had changed. But something had. I just didn't know it yet. The next morning, over coffee, she said, "I want to start a business." She had always been ambitious, creative, a dreamer. An online boutique, something for women over 40. Elegant, confident, like you. I smiled. Sounds wonderful, honey. Then she paused. I've got a partner lined up, a designer. We just need a little capital to get started. And that's when I felt it. A flicker, a shift in the room. How much, I asked. Not much, just $28,000 to start. I know you've been saving. It's just sitting in that CD, right? That was nearly half of what I had. I should have said no. I should have paused. I should have told her. I worked for every penny of that, but instead, I looked at her across the table. My little girl, smiling, hopeful, calling me like you. And I said, okay. I transferred the money the next morning. She hugged me tightly and whispered, I won't let you down. That was the last time I saw her in person. She stopped returning calls after 3 weeks. Emails went unread. Messages stayed blue and unanswered. And then the boutique's Instagram disappeared. I called her roommate. She moved out weeks ago. I called the designer she mentioned. I never signed on to anything. She just asked for ideas. I never heard back. And that's when it hit me. The dream had never existed. There was no boutique, no partner, no plan. Just a daughter who knew exactly how much love her mother had and how easy it was to weaponize it. I sat in that quiet apartment, my rent rising, my body aching, my bank account gutted. And I realized I didn't just lose money, I lost my daughter. But what Erin didn't know was that I didn't survive 60 years and 2 careers just to be left with silence. She thought she ended the story, but I was just getting started. After the 3rd week of silence, I stopped crying. Not because the pain was gone, but because pain that deep hardens into something else. Focus, clarity, resolve. I went to the bank and asked to review every transfer I'd made over the past 6 months. The teller looked surprised, but printed out the documents. $28,000. All transferred directly to Erin's personal account. No business name, no company, just her name. I stared at the paper. It might as well have been a knife. I called her again. Voicemail. Again. Voicemail. So I left one. Just one. I'm not calling for the money anymore. I'm calling to say I see you. And one day, you'll see me too. Not the way you used to, but the way you made me become. A week later, I received an envelope. No return address. Inside was a receipt. A handwritten note. Just 4 words. I'll pay you back. Just a cold acknowledgement of guilt, written in a hand I used to guide over cursive pages when she was 7. I folded the note, placed it in my drawer. Not for forgiveness, for fuel. If she thought that note would buy me silence, she didn't know who raised her. I called a private investigator, a woman named Carla. Sharp voice, short answers. I told her everything. She didn't blink. Send me what you have. I'll find her. 2 days later, Carla called back. She's living in San Diego, sharing a condo with another woman, probably a roommate. Maybe more. No job listed. No business license. Instagram under a new handle. Lots of beach photos. I flew out quietly. Didn't tell anyone. Didn't make threats. Didn't pack anything more than essentials. Just enough to move, to observe, to plan. I rented a room 2 blocks from her building. The first time I saw her, she was walking her dog, a fluffy little thing I'd never seen before, in a designer leash. She didn't see me. I stayed in the car. My heart pounded like it used to when I had to confront managers twice my size at the cleaning company. But I didn't get out. Not yet. Instead, I waited. I watched. Every morning she went to the same cafe. Every Friday she got her nails done. Every weekend she posted sunny photos in dresses I couldn't afford when I had 2 jobs. She was playing a part, and everyone online was buying it. But I knew what was behind the curtain, and soon she'd learn what it felt like to earn what you steal. It took me 3 weeks to make my move. 3 weeks of quiet observation, of watching her glide through her new life like someone who never knew what it meant to make choices based on electricity bills and grocery lists. She posted photos in silk robes with captions like, "Manifesting abundance." Abundance she didn't build. She extracted it from me. I didn't want to confront her with shouting. That's what people expect from mothers. Pain wrapped in begging. I wanted her to feel something stronger. Accountability. So I got a job at the cafe where she went every morning. I told the manager I was retired, bored, and good with people. I wore a pressed blouse and a soft smile. They hired me on the spot. Minimum wage, no health plan, but a front row seat to the performance she called her life. The first morning she walked in, she didn't notice me. She was too busy laughing on the phone, ordering her oat milk latte with vanilla foam and collagen bow. It wasn't until I handed it to her that she looked up and froze. "Mom?" "Aaron." I said it like I was greeting an old customer. Neutral. Calm. Her eyes darted like trapped light. "What are you doing here?" "Working." "Why?" "Because some people pay for what they take." She didn't say a word, just took her drink and walked out. Fast. Faster than I'd seen her move since she was 17 and late to a scholarship interview I paid for in quarters. The next day she came back. This time she waited until there were no other customers. "You don't have to do this." "I know. You were making a scene. You made one first. You just made sure no one could hear it." She didn't expect that. She stood still, shocked. Then she said it. "You gave it to me." Ah, there it was. I gave it to someone I thought wouldn't use it to vanish. "You don't understand. I was drowning. So you pulled me under, too." She left, didn't even touch her drink. But that week, something changed. Every few days, I'd come home and find an envelope, sometimes with $100, sometimes $40. No note, no apology, just cash, folded like guilt. Then one day, she walked into the cafe with a resume, gave it to my manager. She started working the dish station. The same girl who used to fake being sick to skip gym class was now wiping counters and clocking in at 6:30 a.m. I didn't say a word, just nodded once when she passed me. She never said, "I'm sorry," not once. But the tips she left for the other staff spoke louder than anything I could have made her say. Some people think revenge is a scream, a slap, a public meltdown. But the best kind is when they look you in the eye and realize they've become the person you were trying to protect them from, and you're done protecting. It had been nearly a month since Erin started working at the cafe. She arrived early, didn't ask for favors, didn't tell anyone I was her mother. She wore her uniform like armor, pressed apron, ponytail pulled tight, lips quiet. She used to post stories of brunches and designer bags. Now she posted nothing. And maybe for the first time in years, she was listening instead of performing. I didn't make it easy for her. She got the worst shifts. Sunday morning nush, Tuesday night cleanup, coffee grounds under her nails, steam burns on her wrists. I didn't protect her from the work, but I watched her, not like a mother, like a woman measuring another for the first time. The other baristas liked her. She didn't complain. She laughed easily again, not forced, not curated for likes, just light. She started bringing breakfast for the early crew, stashing snacks in the break room, leaving notes like, "You've got this," on the espresso machine. And little by little, the bitterness in my chest began to melt. One night, after closing, we found ourselves alone, sweeping opposite sides of the floor. No music, no customers, just broom bristles and fluorescent hum. Then she spoke. "I'm not proud of what I did." I didn't answer. She kept sweeping. I was scared. I thought if I didn't look successful, I'd be nothing. I didn't know how to stop lying once I started. Still, I said nothing. Not because I didn't want to, but because I needed her to keep going. Every day I came to work, I thought you hated me. I did, I said flatly, for a while. She stopped. "Do you still?" I turned to her. "No, but I don't trust you yet. That's harder to rebuild than money." She nodded. "I want to try, even if it takes years." "It will." And we left it there. Not a hug, not a breakthrough, but a blueprint. Over the next weeks, she kept working. And every Friday, she slipped an envelope into my purse. No words, just $200, then $300, then $250. Her savings, piece by piece. I never asked for repayment, but she needed to do it, and I needed her to choose it. Then one evening, she came to my apartment, unannounced, in jeans and a sweatshirt from high school. She looked smaller than I remembered, but older too, like the shine had given way to something real. She handed me a notebook. "I've been writing down every cent, everything I owe, and what I'm learning while paying it back." I flipped through it. Pages of messy handwriting, notes on humility, moments she regretted, quotes she heard from customers, ideas for starting over. This time, honestly, I didn't cry. I didn't say, "I'm proud of you." I just said, "I'll read it, every page." She nodded, and for the first time in years, I saw the little girl again, not in her face, but in her eyes, still scared, still hopeful, still mine. Not because she earned it, but because she was finally trying to be worth what was already given. Time doesn't heal everything, but it tells you what pain is worth holding and what you can finally set down. That winter, Erin and I fell into a rhythm. Work, repayment, silences that didn't need to be filled. She was still living with roommates, still watching every dollar. No more spas, no more beach selfies, just early mornings, stiff shoulders, and steady hands. Every Friday, like clockwork, she gave me an envelope, even when it was only $50, even when she had to walk to work to avoid spending on gas. She never missed a week. She never asked how much was left. I began to notice the little things. She replaced the manager's broken stapler, fixed the jammed ice bin, baked cookies on her day off for the staff. Once, I overheard her give her entire tip jar to a new girl who was short on rent. And she didn't do it for attention. She did it quietly, quickly, like someone practicing a new language, the language of enough. I invited. Not a test, not a trap, just soup and silence. She arrived on time, brought me flowers. Nothing fancy, gas station carnations. But she'd written a note, not because you need them, because I needed to give. We sat across from each other, spoons clicking on ceramic. She ate slow, looked around my tiny apartment like it was the Sistine Chapel. You've made it feel so full. It's small, I said, but nothing's missing. I wasn't sure if she meant the furniture or something else. After dinner, she stood at the sink to wash the dishes. I stopped her. Sit. I'll do them. No, she said softly. You've done enough. We sat on the couch afterwards. No TV. No noise. She turned to me. And do you think I'll ever be someone you can count on again? I didn't answer right away, because that wasn't a yes or no question. That was a promise she hadn't made yet. Keep showing up, I said. Keep doing what isn't easy, and maybe someday I'll stop checking over my shoulder when I trust you. She didn't flinch. She nodded. That's fair. Before she left, she paused at the door. I was thinking of getting my own place, a studio near here. Why? Because I'm not ready to come home yet, but I want to be close enough in case you ever call and say you're ready. She didn't wait for a response. She just smiled, small, humble, and walked out. I stood at the window, watching her figure blur under the streetlights. And for the first time since she stole from me, I felt something rise in my chest. Hope. Not the kind that expects, the kind that prepares. Because sometimes the only way to fix what you broke is to keep coming back with your hands full of effort and your mouth closed around the words, I'm sorry. And she was doing just that, week by week, envelope by envelope, step by halting step. She wasn't just trying to return the money. She was earning her way back into my life. By spring, Erin had returned nearly $10,000. She never asked how much was left, never questioned how I spent it. She just handed me an envelope every Friday, like it was part of her breath. And I never missed the weight of it. Not the money, but the meaning. I kept it all in a small metal cash box I found at a thrift store. Felt-lined, heavy, quiet. Each envelope went in sealed, untouched. I didn't count it weekly. I didn't obsess, because for the first time in a long time, it wasn't about the total. It was about transformation. Still, money changes things, even when it's being returned. I started dreaming. Not big, not silly, just differently. About things I had long put aside. a class at the senior center. New walking shoes. Maybe a trip. Nowhere exotic. Just somewhere I didn't have to make my own bed. Aaron saw the pamphlets on my table one night. You thinking of traveling? Maybe. Alone? I raised an eyebrow. You offering to come? She laughed. If I pay for my own ticket, like a knot that had been holding a broken part in place, and finally realized it was safe to let go. I've been saving, trying to build a cushion. I know it's going slow. I stopped her. Aaron, you've done more than I expected, and you're not done yet. But that's not the point. Then what is? I tapped the tin box. You think this is where the debt lives, but it's not. It's in the conversations we never had, the years we skipped, the silence you created. She looked down, and I softened. But every week, every shift, every kind thing you did for someone who didn't know your past, you chipped away at that silence. So, are we okay? We're not finished, but we're on the way. That week, I took some of the money from the box, just $400. I signed up for a watercolor class at the community center, bought a set of brushes I'd admired for years, not because I needed them, but because they felt like permission. Permission to live again, to create, to be more than a woman who'd been robbed by her own child. And when I painted my first scene, a crooked little cottage in early spring, I realized something. I wasn't rebuilding what Aaron took. I was building what I never gave myself. By early summer, Aaron had returned just over $17,000. She never missed a week. Sometimes she even sent extra. She was working double shifts now, at the cafe, and evenings cleaning rooms at a small motel. I didn't ask her to. She chose it, and something in her posture had changed. Less shame, more stillness. Like she was finally standing in her own shadow and not trying to outrun it. She still brought envelopes, still left them quietly on the edge of my table. But one Friday, she didn't. Instead, she brought a folder. What's this? A plan. I opened it. Budget breakdowns. A 3-month lease proposal. Mock-ups of a small catering and baking business. Simple starts. No boutiques. No lies. Just cookies, lemon bars, lunch prep, and local pickup. All modest. All real. I've already got 3 clients. I'm delivering weekly meals, working from a shared kitchen space. I'm keeping it cash only for now. Low risk. I'm learning. Not manipulative. Just a woman trying to take one good step at a time. I'm not asking for an investment, she said. I'm asking for your opinion. I smiled. That's new. What is? You asking before taking. She smiled back. Tired, hopeful, earnest. I read every page, took notes, asked questions, gave her suggestions on packaging, on logistics, on margins. She took them seriously, wrote them down, didn't interrupt. It was the first time we worked together on something that neither of us wanted to control. Just build. At the end, she asked quietly, if I get it going, Would you let me cater your watercolor class show? Just finger food. I'll do it for free. I stared at her for a long moment. No. Her face fell. Then I added, "You'll do it for a fee. I don't take freebies anymore." She laughed. So did I. She left that night lighter, and I stayed behind, holding her folder in my lap, thinking, maybe redemption doesn't look like some grand apology. Maybe it looks like a woman who shows up every week with humility in her hands and a business plan on her own terms. That weekend, I took more cash from the tin box, only a little, and I bought a canvas. Not small, not safe, a bold one, with texture and room for mistakes. I didn't know what I was going to paint, but I knew it would take up space, and I was finally okay with that, because my daughter had taken from me once, but now I was taking something back. My life. One line, one brushstroke, 1 week at a time. Happened quietly. A Friday like any other. Erin came by after her shift, wearing flour on her shirt and hope in her eyes. She handed me an envelope, just like she had every week for over a year. But this one was different. Inside was a check, typed meat, $10,400. The exact amount remaining. She didn't say, "Here, it's done." She didn't declare it like a victory. She just set it down and said, "I checked the total. I want to finish strong." I didn't count it. I didn't have to. Instead, I opened my drawer, pulled out a second envelope, and slid it across the table. Your receipts. Inside were every single envelope she'd ever given me, all unopened, all untouched. She blinked. "You didn't cash them." "I didn't need to. I needed you to give them." "But you were working. You lived so simply." "Because I know how to live simply. Because I needed you to learn how to live honestly." Tears welled up in her eyes. Maybe not then, but maybe now. She stared at the envelopes, like they were relics. Then she asked, barely above a whisper, "What will you do with it?" I stood, walked to the tin box, opened it, pulled out my own envelope. I handed it to her. She opened it slowly. A check. Same amount. Made out to Simple Starts Catering. Signed in my name. "This is your seed money," I said. "This time, you're earning it twice. First by giving it back, second by doing it right." She broke. Tears down her cheeks, fingers pressed to her lips. "Mom, you earned it, not just the money, the chance." We sat on the couch. No words, just the kind of silence that holds everything. Later that night, when she left, I found a note on the counter, in her handwriting. "You didn't just teach me about money. You taught me what I cost and how to be worth it." I folded it gently, slipped it into the box, not for debt, for memory. These days she visits every weekend, brings samples from her new menu, brings stories about her clients, about late nights and oven burns, and learning how to say no to shortcuts. I smile because she's no longer performing. She's becoming. At my watercolor show, she catered everything. People asked if the food was store-bought. She blushed. No, this was made by hand. Every piece. And I knew she wasn't just talking about the food. As for the rest of the money, it sits in a new account, labeled for something beautiful. I don't know what it will be yet. Maybe a trip. Maybe a new kitchen. Maybe something for Erin's future child, if she ever chooses that path. But whatever it becomes, it won't be about loss. It will be about what I reclaimed, because she took my life savings. Yes, but I made her earn every penny back, and in the process, she gave me something money could never buy. A daughter I could trust again.